Hmm? Huh? Oh.
Defend the war and bring peace with honor in Vietnam.
Through the hole out the door. Carmen and David lived in Jamaica Estates, Queens, in a studio apartment on the first floor. They slept on a cot, and the apartment was so small that when little David came over, it was only for the day.
It was a studio that was really tiny. I spruced up the kitchen and I bought a few things. He had he had moldy bread in the refrigerator and curded milk. Then we went to a construction site and we stole bricks. Stole in the back of his car. We bought wood and we stained it, and we made a pseudo library type of thing, a little shelving going there. And we had a TV and he had his piano.
How long did you live there for?
Must have been about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Two of David and Carmen's friends were Pepe and Diane Cobos. Pepe and Diane led a bohemian lifestyle. They enjoyed swell times and had a nickel bag for every occasion. Of course, David never did any drugs, but much like the parakeet that Pepe owned, I'm sure he got a contact high whenever he was over to play chess.
Reefer, Mary Jane.
The parakeet would fly around the house, and frequently it would crash into the wall or a table, get up, and start walking sideways.
We always got along very well, and we always liked them, but we just lost contact.
David and Carmen went on many trips throughout their illustrious marriage.
What about things that you would do for fun? I guess this is sort of like in the early 70s. I mean, if you took away, obviously, all the travel and the trips that you did.
That was the fun part. We did a lot of the traveling spontaneously, spur of the moment. I always packed a little bag and our passports. And sometimes on a Friday afternoon, we'd just decide to take a plane that night and go to Spain and spend the weekend in Spain. We did that a lot. We did that with the friends also. We did it with Alfonso, with Rosemary. Someone was always going to Spain, always. And we would just say, hey, come on, let's go. Let's just do it.
One of the first memorable trips they went on was to Paris. Of course, as always, the tickets and the hotel were free. The food was not. They were so broke by the end of the trip that they basically ate bread and drank coffee for the last 2 days. The pension they stayed at was quite unique in that a dining area as well as the menu was made to order. One day, David goes to the lobby and says, "Where is the dining room?" They pointed over to a spiral staircase. 2 minutes later, a couple of waiters came out with a table and placed it right underneath the spiral staircase. Paris was a quirky city full of improvisation.
I saw him at his hobbies. I saw him play soccer. He was pretty good. He played tennis. David's competitive.
Hey, what are you doing? Pass it to me.
The whiff.
And David hates to lose. David really hates to lose.
Salud and George moved into a 2-bedroom apartment within the Camelot building. Alex, who was then known as Little David, had such a small bedroom that his grandmother Rosario slept on the couch in the living room. Having Rosario still live with Salud did not sit well with George, because for as much as Rosario raised Little David, she also raised hell to David Sr., and now it would be George's turn. However, unlike David, George was not as sophisticated and not as patient. David's love for the game of soccer was such that years earlier he wrote a passionate letter to the Secretary General of Spain's Real Madrid team, which is to soccer what the Yankees are to baseball. In it, he asked if he could provide a trophy for their league, as this would further promote the sports in the U.S. Much to David's delight, they complied, sending David a silver cup for the New York-New Jersey League. For this and several other reasons, the league unanimously decided to elect David as their president for the 1973-1974 season. However, the honor did not last too long. In a game against the Metros in Atlanta, Alfonso Mulas is ejected from the game for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, that happened, in Atlanta with the Metros. One thing that I don't understood about America, kicking in to every our players. We win the game. We do worse because we get passing with almost 3 or 4 players of the Metros, because I'm sorry, but the people, they don't know how to play soccer. So we know how to play soccer, so we play soccer. And one of big guys, I don't know if it was brown or yellow or whatever, they want to kick me off. And they say, forget it, I'm sorry, forget it. So the referee, they say, I'm sorry, you out. I say, why? Because you kicking this guy. Because sorry, he's big, but I don't care.
Against David's will, several others on the team protested and walked off the field. Angered by the lack of discipline and respect that his team had, David stepped down as team coach and as president of the league. And 2 months later, the whole league disbanded. Rosario's doting over little David was obsessive, and she did strange things such as give him a teaspoon of sugar and vinegar to make him stop having the hiccups. But it did not end there. When little David began the second grade, he had already won a fight the year before in the school playground. Little David was not a troublemaker, but he did stand up for himself. In the second grade, however, when the bullies began to emerge, life became a little bit more challenging for him. David was underweight and shorter than most of the boys in his class. And while David was not picked on any more than anyone else was, this was unacceptable to Rosario. Within a week, Rosario got herself a volunteer job at David's school as none other than a luncheon recess chaperone. Rosario's job was to watch on all the children in the school playground during lunchtime. However, she spent all her time following little David around.
Jesús, ¿dónde estará el chiquillo metido? Si estaba aquí ahora mismo estaba aquí al lado mío. Y yo no sé hablar inglés, yo no sé dónde está metido ese chiquillo. Y yo cogí este trabajo, no porque necesito el dinero, sino para vigilarlo para que no se lo lleve nadie. ¿Y dónde estará metido?
This embarrassed him and made more kids make fun of him. It got to a point where George finally put his foot down and said that this was to stop. And unlike David, when George spoke to Rosario, his voice wavered madly and there was a threat of unspeakable violence in the air.
I saw some boy showing them off in school.
Get down, get down.
It looked fun. It even came with a stick of gum.
Get down, get down.
There are some things in your lifetime that you're going to discover, that you're going to carry on with you forever. For me, baseball cards was my first thing. Not only was I beginning to love baseball, watching it on TV and such, but now I felt like I could have ownership whenever I wanted to.
Get it on.
And I could remember every day after school, my grandmother would take me to this candy store that was near the school, near my apartment, on Hillside Avenue, and buy me 2 packs of baseball cards every day. Back then, 2 packs of baseball cards were 20 cards, and it cost 20 cents, and you get 2 sticks of gum with it.
Get up and get down.
And it was the first time I ever had a reason to ask for an allowance. During lunch recess and after school, we flipped cards in school. The best memory I had of about these baseball cards was early on. There was a kid named GM who went to our school, and he was a real troublemaker. One day during lunch, he comes outside and he's got a duffel bag. And in the duffel bag that he has partially open, he has what seemed like thousands of cards. And when when all these kids saw these cards in this bag, they kept asking GM, what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do with the cards? Well, let me tell you what he did. He steps up on this platform in the school playground, made of cement. He takes the duffel bag, he opens it up all the way. Then he takes, with all his might, the bag and throws them up in the air. And these cards just start flying everywhere. And boys and girls are diving after them, hitting themselves in the concrete just for the sake of getting a Tom Seaver or any card, actually. It was pandemonium.
I'm talking about the jungle boogie. Get down, get down with the boogie. Say, get down, say, get down, say, get down, say, till you feel it, y'all. Get down, y'all. Get down, get up, y'all. Get down.
David was once dubbed the water ski champion of Jamaica Estate Shores. It was in Palma de Mallorca, actually. David attempted to water ski one day. He had done so already in Shirley, where Antonio lived, and he had a speedboat. This time he was doing so well that he thought he could take it to the next level against another young couple from Holland. The young couple egged David on by water skiing with one ski. David, the fierce competitor, felt this was no big deal for him either, and in fact for the first 30 seconds it wasn't. But then they started turning the boat around. Instead of letting go, David hit the water so hard that he catapulted 15 feet into the air and lost consciousness. Next thing he remembered was being on the boat. He never water skied ever again. That's when he realized two legs were better than one. Little David was still having trouble speaking English, so his mother arranged for a tutor to help him after school. And despite all the endless enjoyment and escape that little David had with his baseball cards, George, Salud, and Rosario still fought, the apartment was still small, and his second grade teacher's lack of patience with little David's lack of self-control still made him a very nervous child. Little David picked up bad habits like biting on his lower lip and picking at his scalp until they both bled. Additionally, Rosario's love for little David was so suffocating that he'd have nightmares about her chasing after him with a knife in the adjacent basement parking lot of the wall-bound supermarket.
It didn't help that my grandmother let me watch whatever I wanted to on TV. And in fact, I even remembered when I was 6 years old, her letting me stay up to watch Psycho for the first time ever. I still don't take a shower without the door being locked. I mean, I used to have all kinds of nightmares.
However, life began to turn for the better. Little David celebrated his Holy Communion, he graduated from the 2nd grade with B's and A's, and he started to make friends with the children in the building, and even had a birthday party in one of the conference rooms in the basement of their high-rise. And to top it off, his birthday present was a television, his first ever. It was a 19-inch black and white Motorola TV, and it would be an endless source of amazement and joy for little David for years to come.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.